What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent podcast that I seen with it was with Candace Parker, Cheryl Miller, and Keyshawn Johnson, right? And Candace Parker was saying that how she thought that Cheryl Miller was a goat, and she was trying to get Cheryl Miller to admit she was the goat, and Cheryl Miller just she was too humble to do that. But with that being said, man, I want to I want to play the audio, and then I'm gonna come back and give my comments on what I think about what Candace Parker and Cheryl Miller had to say about being a goat. And then I want to let you know who I think, who my GOAT is, who I think is the GOAT, the WNBA GOAT. But I thought it was a pretty good exchange between Cheryl Miller, Candace Parker, and what's the guy name? I just said his name. Keyshawn Johnson. And so let me see. Let me go ahead and play this.
She's going.
No, no, no,
Respectfully, girl, bye.
no.
It's okay.
No. You know what? To be honest, I'm one of many.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just serious.
That ain't what we believe, though.
Well, it's debatable. Depending on who you ask, it's debatable. But I've been fortunate to play with great coaches, great players, and be in the right spot at the right time. Period.
So I can't believe you just did that to me, though. You didn't just say, "Yeah, I'm her." Period.
I can't, because I'm goofy enough to say that and then try to walk off set and roll an ankle. I'm gonna be the one.
What you think, Candace?
100%. She's always been that.
100%.
And this isn't like this year, me saying that. Like, you asked me years ago,
Yeah.
it was the case. We actually had a conversation at the USC game about this. Like, when you look at somebody, you could tell by the way they move,
Yeah.
like, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Cheryl just had a before her time, before her era, fit her in any era, and she's successful. You put her in this era, it doesn't matter. She's gonna do what she does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was Candace Parker referring to Cheryl Miller and how she felt about Cheryl Miller being the GOAT, right? And I remember watching Cheryl Miller when she was at USC. Um, yeah, Cheryl Miller was on a team, a tough team. She had these twins, they were called the McGee twins. They was really good. Then Cynthia Cooper was on that team. So Cynthia Cooper was really, really good. And Cheryl, even on that team, Cheryl Miller stood out, right? So like there's a strong argument for Cheryl Miller being the GOAT. And what I appreciate about Cheryl Miller is her humbleness, right? The fact that she didn't come out and say that she was the GOAT, and a lot of times people who are the GOAT, or people who are at least a candidate for being the GOAT, they won't even they'll let that's for their fans to decide. That's for other people to decide. They don't really campaign for that. In most cases, they don't say that they the GOAT. You might like, I think Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest. Who else? LeBron James said he was the GOAT. Who else? I'm not sure if Dion said it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think Dion did say it, but most people don't say that, right? And I admire that, in Cheryl Miller. Like I said, back in the day, Cheryl Miller, when she played at USC, she was tough. But I kind of go, in my opinion, I like Cynthia Cooper. And Cynthia Cooper played with her in college. Cynthia Cooper was like a little bit, I think like a couple years younger than her, like a year or two younger than her when they played. So Cynthia Cooper was and Cynthia Cooper was bad too on that USC team. But and the thing about Cheryl Miller, she never had the opportunity to play in the WNBA. right? Even when Cynthia Cooper went to the WNBA, Cheryl Miller never got to play in the WNBA. Cynthia Cooper was like on the tail end of her career. You know, I don't think like the WNBA didn't catch Cynthia Cooper when she was in her prime. I think in 90, the league started, I think in 96 or 97, something like that. And so, but the first 4 years of the WNBA, um, Cynthia Cooper and the Houston Comets won the championship. And so I got to see a lot of Cynthia Cooper. And her game, man, her game just was tough. She was just tough. She was the leader of that Houston Comets team that won those championships. I wish that I had that we had an opportunity to see Cheryl Miller play in the WNBA, but oh man, that's just tough. And most people probably will go with Cheryl Miller because of like what she did in college. I think she played overseas a lot, and then you know, most people probably would agree that Cheryl Miller is the best. And I mean, you can get a strong argument for that for a lot of people, right? But I'm going to factor in my opinion, I'm going to factor in the career and what Cynthia Cooper did in the WNBA, man. 4 straight championships, like the first 4 championships in the league. It was tough, like to come in one and win one, that's cool. You know what I mean? You could sneak up on somebody, and win and have a good season and catch a team, catch the league off guard. But not 4. You can't do that 4 times, those last three championships, they had big targets on their back. And then you'd have to remember that they had some really, really, really good ball players in the league. They used to go back and forth. They used to go at it with Lisa Leslie when Lisa Leslie was at she was with the Sparks. The New York Liberty had strong teams back then too. They was tough, and I think the only reason why, I think the Liberty eventually got a championship, but they had Weatherspoon. Then they had this young lady on the Liberty, Hampton. The Liberty had a tough team, so it wasn't no cakewalk for Cynthia Cooper and and the Houston Comets. And I respect what's the young lady Candace Parker's opinion that Cheryl Miller is the GOAT, but just from what I seen, man, from like I said, what I got to see, the Houston Comets do, Cynthia Cooper and the Houston Comets, man. I mean, that those 4 years, man, I was like, and it reminded me of Michael Jordan winning his last 3 championships, right? And I say that because by the time Mike got to that second three-peat, Mike wasn't, it wasn't like his, what years was he in? Like, all right, so it took Mike 7 years to get to the first one, right? So then by the time he won number 3, now he been in the league for 9 years. Then he retired, right? So that's 11 years. So Mike came back, and won 3 more after that. So you got 11, 12th year, 13th, and 14th. Or was it? I think it was 12, 13, and 14. Something like that, So Mike had been, by the time that, Mike was just a different player. And so that's what I think with Cynthia Cooper. She was a different player, and she you could just tell that she found different ways to score and different ways to be effective, even though she was getting up there, in age. So that's why I give it to Cynthia Cooper. But if for anybody who chooses Cheryl Miller, you can't go wrong either way though. But that's a strong argument. I might even do a poll to see who people think is the GOAT, Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper, right? And just to see what kind of response I get, man. If some people who've seen both of these women play, you can make a strong argument for either one. But yeah, that's my that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next episode. Peace.